Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Franz Sidney, so I'm very happy to have you today with Create with Franz, the show that gives you mindset and neuro, something, diversity, everything. All the information about what your neurons are doing, what your memory is doing, what your emotions are doing in your subconscious mind. All the stuff that we bring from the past and it lives with us and it changes our life so much that we might go through a crisis. And that's why we have therapy, NLP, coaching, hypnosis to help you. There are books, courses, and all sorts, but I just prefer to, interview people who are experts in their field. And today we're going to talk just about that. We're going to talk about a moment in our life when we get into a crisis and we really want to get out of it, but we're feeling stuck. Maybe we might have anxiety or panic attacks, or we're just not moving forward. And something there we know just not right, and we look for solutions. And today we have an expert, and her name is Meike Bettscheide, and she comes all the way from Germany, but she lives in Greece. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Franz. Very nice meeting you. Thank you for your time.
It's all right. It's a pleasure, especially knowing your story, because you guys don't know that Meike went through several personal challenges herself. So she knows what it feels like to be feeling stuck, to be anxious about the future, I can't move forward. And then she looked for solutions. And eventually, after searching, she realized that the important thing is to go through all these emotions and things that really go to the root cause of what is causing that, because we don't react to one situation. We react to the luggage of emotions that we have gathered for many years. So today she has put together over the years an amazing package, a protocol, let's say, that is full of little things. I will tell you some. There will be a little bit of meridian points. There will be some tapping. There will be a little bit of coaching, and there'll be a lot more. And she's going to tell us exactly how we can go through a crisis, not only without becoming crushed by the crisis, but learning and growing and letting go of what is holding us back. So when a new crisis comes, because life is full of crises, we have this packet of techniques and modalities we can use to go back to, and then involving also how to calm your system so you're not forever stuck in a fight or flight mode, which is when you're always alert, always exploding, your liver is toxic and your emotions are raw and everything is bad. So let's talk first about, to tackle this crisis management topic, we want to see what are the key issues that people are facing during a crisis, or what are the symptoms that they have and what problems are caused by the whole emotional luggage. So it's your turn to tell us.
Yeah, thank you. So typical symptoms mentally and physically people in a crisis have are really their heartbeat are racing, they can't breathe anymore, and their mind is really blocked. They're really stuck, as you said earlier, due to their nervous system in a fight, flight, or even freeze mode. And then you can't handle anything. You get deeper in a spiral of new challenges. You can't decide properly.
Wow. So that is the moment when people might resort to, I don't know, drugs or alcohol, or maybe locking themselves in the kitchen. And the answer is never in the fridge. But for some, when you are in a crisis, you go and eat. Eat is this kind of sense of, especially high carbs and sugars, and feeling like I'm full, I got something there. And other people will just yell or maybe become very depressed. And so when we have all these conditions and we might be debilitated by the fact that we can't even breathe well, etc., what happens to our thinking?
It gets blocked. So we are stuck maybe in the illusions of the past, or we experienced that already, and it can get even worse. So between the past and the potential future. And our mind is just blocked, done, overwhelmed, stressed out, and we can't think clearly. We need a compass to guide us out of that state, physically and mentally, to make then again better decisions and change the challenges into chances.
So from challenge to chance, that should really be the title of this podcast. Yeah. So you told me quite a few nice stories. But so you're using now a way to get out of this stuck mode, which is a blend of ancient wisdom and modern science, which is very good. And also you do a lot of active listening with your clients. So what are your strategies? How do you go through all this crisis management period?
Yeah, so first of all, it depends in which state my client might be, right in the middle of crisis, or it's starting, or it's a repetitive crisis or challenge. So I'm using really, as you said, a mix out of ancient wisdom, kind like face reading, which is really not esoteric, it's really science, and to focus on the qualities of the person, because you can see everything in the face, your personality, your qualities, and resources you might have forgotten or never clicked with, which helps you all calming down, focusing on your strengths and on positive thinking. And the other science I'm using in my mix is epigenetic coaching, because we all have our DNA like the script of a movie, but we can write the movie because how we live, how we change our wrong beliefs and our lifestyle can make a difference. So I mix all together, and also, of course, physical acute actions, actually, with breathing techniques, tipping techniques, and it's always individual because we all are different. We act differently, right?
Yes. And how is breathing connected to all this process?
Breathing really calms down our heart rate. It's the coherence between our breathing and the heart rate. Then it calms the nervous system, our vagus nerve, which is really, the boss of our, stress and anxieties. So if you breathe slower, if you breathe with a different or a specific technique, and you support that with some tapping methods, like on the acupuncture points, then you can easily calm down your nervous system and your mind gets clearer. And then you're back to, okay, let's focus, let's breathe, let's do it.
Excellent. So breathing is always coming back in my podcast. Is one of the big things. And if we really take a moment to ponder, yes, when we are in shock, something is happening. The one thing we notice, and very often our breathing is labored, and then we might feel constricted to the point. Some people might have a chest pressure, feeling like it's really tight. And that's your body, your mind working together and reacting to one another, say, oh, I'm worried, so that's why I have this. And then because I feel something in my heart, this must be very serious. And they feed one another. It's kind of a vicious loop, isn't it? So it's to stop that is very important. You mentioned in your notes working with something called The Work by Byron Katie. What is that? I never heard of that.
That's the third part of my work I'm using, or my tools. That's amazing because you only ask yourself 4 questions when you're in a crisis. That also helps stimulate the mind on the positives, on the reality. I call it, it's a reality check. And you ask yourself, okay, in that situation, is that really true? Can I be sure this is true? My belief, I'm not worth. She doesn't like me, etc., etc. I'm anxious. Is that really true? And then you focus, and you only can. And there's no wrong answer, yes or no. Both is right, but think about it. And maybe you come up with, no, that's not true. I can't really for sure know that's true. So then you think, okay, how would I feel? Let me allow myself to feel if that's not true. I'm worth. Okay, how does that feel? And really, your mind can change everything. That also helps to calm down and to act differently, get in a different state.
So it's a lot of reframing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So shall we talk then about your client, the one that was through a severe personal crisis? and had lost his third C-level job in a row. And there was like a huge negative surprise.
Exactly. He was devastated because it happened. It was a repetitive pattern of his third time, his job. He was anxious. He had everything, all the symptoms we talked about earlier. And so I worked with him and looked, first of all, I used the face reading. We focused on the qualities. And we even found his long lost resource because I could see he's a musician. He has something, in music. And then he said, yeah, when I was a child, I played the guitar, and when I was stressed, I even wrote songs. So I said, okay, let's start with that. Go back to that to calm yourself down. We found in his face the structure that he's a very structured person. Solution oriented. And he can also teach, like teaching in mentoring very well. So we focused on his qualities through his face because he couldn't speak really anymore. He was done. And then we looked on his epigenetics, and we changed his nutrition. We changed his physical exercising according to his individual DNA. And we did a lot of breathing. We did what we talked about earlier. And also challenged his yearly long wrong beliefs with the work. He believed for 40 years he's not no worth at all, and had some issues with that. So we put that all together and worked on it. And he now really has his own business as a consultant very successfully. And he writes his songs. He's happy. He found a new partner. So everything kind of fell in place through a crack. And that's wonderful to see.
It must be amazing. I mean, going from such a huge crisis, thinking, well, that's it, I'm going to be stuck in shelves in the local supermarket because nobody wants me. And then you realize, actually, I'm worth a lot more. And it's really that's the coaching thing. I mean, when I trained as a coach years ago, there was a big thing that I really like because we are getting the resources out the client cannot see because we are so negative towards ourselves sometimes, we think, well, I'm not very good. And then when you start seeing all the good things we've done, and I challenge my audience now to really stop and get a piece of paper and write down how many good things have I done? How many things have I achieved in all these years? And why am I not remembering them?
Absolutely, absolutely. We tend to focus on the bad things which happen to us.
Absolutely. Do we have time to talk about your other person that was going through a divorce?
Yes, sure. So the same, she had a very, very bad divorce, also some self-confident issues. And I did the same with her. So not the same, but I used the same tools, the face reading, again, focusing on her strengths, on her qualities. Then we did the work to get rid of the wrong beliefs. And we changed her lifestyle, and she also changed dramatically. So she got also a new position. She got self-worth. She worked with her passion. She found finally her passion. And she then now could attract different partners. She could make her peace. And it is really wonderful to see how these tools are working together.
That's amazing. So we can go through all sorts of examples, but it is very important to take this holistic approach to the crisis management instead of just looking at the symptoms. Oh, I'm very anxious about my job. I'm going to get an antidepressant or anti-anxiety. But it doesn't change anything. Your job is still there with the same problem, and your mind is still the same. We're just turning off the fire alarm as usual. So it's important to see the unresolved issues from our past, which are not solved by a medication, although there are some times where medication is important, for a few days in case of a huge, huge problem and you're in total shock. And the doctor might say, use this for a few days. But a lot of people become hooked up to that. And for all their life, they rely on medication. While instead, if you actually looked at why am I feeling like that, they could feel a lot better. And with doctor guidance, they could come out of these side effects, that they will come up with medication and then have a holistic view of their life and what they can do. This is not to say you should or should not take. That is a discussion to be, made between you and your physician. But it's important to see that in life we should be in charge of it and not be controlled by outside forces, and actually say, well, I'm going to take this decision. Let's look at what is really holding me back. And these beliefs are ours to change, aren't they? We have a huge power for that.
Absolutely.
That's very good. So when you give a session, you're telling me that you are really there 24/7. What does it mean to be there 24/7 for your client? How important is that?
It comes from my own experience. When I went through my personal crises, I was bullied in my childhood. I went through some toxic friendships, some separations. So everything what you can think of, or some physical health issues. And I wished somebody would be there, because I reflected on my old patterns, on my wrong beliefs, on all these things throughout the years. But I thought, oh, now I need somebody to really tell me, give me a quick impulse that I change my old pattern, that I make sure, am I on the right track? And then I go through that situation. And these situations, challenging situations, happen Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Friday night. And not on the scheduled weekly or bi-weekly therapy session. So I figured that's very important. This is what I give to my clients. Of course, I can't and won't take 100 clients at the same time, because I want to be there, guide them as a compass through their challenges and waves of life till they get self-empowered again. That's my goal, of course. But sometimes very helpful to have these little tweaks and tweaks and impulses.
Yeah, so you're a little bit like the accident and emergency department. We call that in England A&E. So obviously they're not saying, oh, you cannot have a baby between Saturday and Sunday, or you cannot have a panic attack because we're going to be closed. They're always open, because people can become ill at any time. And of course, sometimes we have a really big crisis in our mental wellness, and we need to see somebody, and that is a nice holistic approach, which I really appreciate, which is also what I do with my clients, because when they need, they need to be seen, and having that listening ear can be the one shift that can turn your life around, thinking, well, I matter so much that this person will be listening, will be helping. Maybe just a text message, just to make me feel I can do this. That is massive. So I think that is a great thing. And I'm sure you have about 3 pieces of advice that you are happy to share with us today. So let's see, what is your number one?
My number one is for sure, as we said earlier, the breathing. So really breathe deep in for 3 seconds, exhaling for 6 seconds, stay there for 6 seconds, and repeat again. And do that for a couple of minutes, and it will help your vagus nerve and your nerve system to calm down dramatically in a panic attack.
Excellent. And for a second, you're talking about EFT.
Yes, emotional
Explain.
freedom.
I know what it is, but the audience won't.
The tipping method. So if you're again anxious or in a panic attack, so you have these 8 acupuncture points which are in between. So you take your fingertips in between your brows, at the end of your brows, under your eyes, under your nose, under your lips, then here and under the arms, and at the end up here. And you do that and repeat that, and that will also calm down your nervous system.
Yes, and I know, because I use EFT a lot, and I also use it for pain. When I had a really strong pain in my leg, I was like in bed, I was like, oh, I've been in pain the whole day. What is this leg doing? Why the muscle is going on that? And then I was in bed and contorted in pain. I was like, oh, wait, I'm a hypnotherapist. I use EFT. I reminded myself. And I used EFT, and lo and behold, the strong pain just went. I could not believe it, but it went. So maybe some of the audience might want to find out what is emotional freedom technique. Is very good, and it's very useful in lots of occasions, especially panic attacks and anxiety. The number 3 tip, I love that because it's all about negativity. So what can you say about that?
Exactly. Ask yourself only 4 questions. So do the reality check. Ask yourself, is that true? Is this situation, that belief true? The second question, can I really sure that this is true? And there's only yes or no, no explanations. And then really, how would I feel, if the belief is not true? So the reframing part is very important. So change the phrase.
Yes. So these are 3 amazing tips. And maybe today you are listening and you are in a crisis. Maybe your husband left. Maybe your wife is cheating on you. Maybe your boss said he's going to fire everyone that is new in the company or is about to retire or is not producing that much. Who knows? Maybe your son is being bullied at school. Whatever the crisis is, could be also the crisis something very simple because everyone sees crisis in a different way. Some people live in a constant crisis, but they thrive. They manage to go through. So we're all different. So I'm really glad that I've been able today to talk to you, Meike. So thank you so much for coming to the show today.
Thank you, Franz. It was a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
So guys, if you have any questions or suggestions or anything regarding crisis management, please make sure that you contact our friend here, Meike, and she will be very happy to talk to you and give you suggestions. And maybe if you want to have a session, she will always be happy. I'm sure you use Zoom as well. You don't have to go to Greece to see you, although you might have some retreats there.
Exactly, yes. So you're all happy to, more than welcome to come to sunny Greece.
Yeah, in the pipeline, there is a little Greek retreat. Well, we're all coming, especially in that weather, because you get good hot weather all the way to October there. So that's quite good. So anyone, just make sure you click share and like this. And if you really enjoy this podcast, make sure you leave a review and share it with your friends so that we can have more finding out how to create the life that they want using neuroscience-based hacks. Thank you so much, and I see you all next week. Bye-bye.